I've been in this intraocular lens research for a total of 35 years now. And so many times I've heard, oh, now we have it. There is very few new things to come. And it was always wrong, which is nice because the challenge clinically to improve the outcomes for our patients is actually the driving force behind all of it. Now, multifocal lenses have been around since the 1980s. So this is 40 years of the tries with multifocal. And the initial lenses were also diffractive. They weren't bad, but at that time, nobody could control astigmatism. People were still making 6 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter incisions. And none of the multifocal lenses, irregardless of what technology, will work if you do not control astigmatism. So we have been working extensively on multifocal lenses. Here's a small sample of 1,001 multifocal lenses. And we do control postoperative astigmatism with a so-called smart calculator, which is not just a calculation program for the intraocular lens, it's also a surgery planning program with making incisions. And by using this smart calculator, we were able to reduce postoperative errors. Our mean spherical error is 0.26, a quarter of a diopter. And 79.5% of our eyes are below 0.75 diopters of postoperative astigmatism. If you reach these values, you increase happiness with the patient because the ametropic eye can profit from the multifocal lens. Now, if we compare this with the literature, there is a very big doctoral thesis by Wendelstein. He actually took the same kind of lenses. All of these lenses is Tecnis multifocal. So we compared this data with some samples from Dr. Hoffman and a second surgeon, and their spherical equivalent was 0.3 and 0.4 with a much larger standard deviation. So by planning the incision, we also decrease the spherical error. This is very important because there's a coupling of the residual astigmatism that will add to the spherical error. And the cylinder in this series of these two doctors were below the 0.5 in 82 and 67% of cases. So we are significantly better, meaning the patients come by the ton without making advertisements. The patients are happy and they tell their neighbors. We're not running a single ad on our multifocal lenses. And this is in 1,001 multifocal Tecnis lenses with the Toric smart calculator, our average postoperative cylinder, 0.37, with a standard deviation of 0.27. So most of our patients are in the refractive range of corneal refractive surgery. If you do this, you increase happiness by 100, 200%. And this is just multifocal toric lenses, and you still see it's very good results. We are reducing significantly post-op refractive errors. This is out of the 1,258 toric multifocal. So what does this do to your clinics? This is gray is the year 2015. In 2015, the monofocal lenses in our clinics were 63%. And we had some aspheric also, here the 8%. Now, if you look at the multifocal and multifocal toric percentage, in 2023, it is 50% multifocal lenses. Now, the average in Germany is 4.1% toric lenses and 2.6% multifocal lenses. So we are now by the factor 20 plus in the multifocal business. What does this do? Everything gets more complicated if you have a new multifocal lens. Because if you have a new multifocal lens and ask us, can you check it? It is up against very high standards. So we had the privilege to test now different lenses, and these multifocal lenses have to compete based on their good optical principle, their focus distribution, the light distribution, halos and glare, and also the A constants have to be optimized. Now, some years ago, we tested the Hanita full range, and it was much better than we expected. It was much better than most bifocal IOLs. It had very good distant visual acuity. Patients liked it very much. And it was also very low on secondary cataract. I think Ruth is probably also shortly reporting on her results, later results on the PCO. Low PCO, another issue for happy multifocal patients. Now, this is also from Dr. Ruth Lapid. This is the stray light. Of all the lenses she tested, this full range lens, a bifocal Hanita multifocal lens, new technology 4 years ago, had the lowest stray light of all. This is also contributing to good clinical performance. And these were our original 30 eyes that we tested. Visual acuity with this full range lens, 0.8 without corrections, 1.03. Sorry, I'm still using decimals because I like it much more. I'm trained that way. And visual acuity at near 0.99. So very good performance at near and distance. And we were able to control the spherical equivalent. But at that time, we were not using our standard surgical planning program with a smart calculator, and we still were having some residual astigmatism of 0.6 and still were having happy patients. But we get this much lower with using the smart calculator now. On the basis of this very positive experience of the full range multifocal, which is a bifocal lens, Hanita developed the multifocal IOL called Intensity. This lens is originally available hydrophilic, but is also now being put on a hydrophobic platform. And this lens does have a definite distance and near focus, but it does have intermediate focus enhancers. So the light distribution here is above 40%, 43%, and the light distribution for near is above 25%. And some people say, that may be too low, but interestingly, the patients were not complaining about low light problems with this lens. This may be partially due to the fact that of all the lenses here, you see the fine vision, the LISA, and the Panoptics, they did have the lowest loss of light, because every light is losing some light. Every lens is losing some light when it has multifocal optics, but the reduction of the light loss is the best in the Hanita Pentafocal lens. Now, with this lens, our first clinical experience was visual acuity without correction, 0.75, distance 0.85, near 0.9. We were able to reduce the sphere. The cylinder, we need to still get a little bit lower because we like to see 0.3 at that site. Here's some of the data, and you see that the mean equivalent error actually went down in this subset of cases if we took this one outlier out. There was one outlier, he ended up at +2, we don't know why. So with taking that one out, we have very good results, visual acuity corrected 0.91. And the interesting thing is actually the defocus curve. When you have patients that you have provided with multifocal lenses, and they are computer people, 60 centimeter, 70 centimeter screen, This is the patients that often, in our experience, came with trifocal lenses and complained about not having a sharp enough image on the computer. Some patients are very happy, but some are very unhappy. There seems to be very little in between. So this is very interesting. This is the 1 to 1.5 diopters. So this is actually a computer screen. And there is the lowest dip of the lenses we tested for this Hanita intensity lens. And over the full range, we stay in the 0.8 visual acuity. Now, since we have been addressing the problem of improving computer vision for our patients for a long time, we have done another thing. We mix lenses. I have multifocal lenses in my eyes, and they are mixed because I try to enhance the near distance by giving the patients different samples of different near editions. And this has been a standard in our clinic, so we are probably also looking at a whole number of multifocal. We are not the average multifocal hospital anymore. And if you look at this, this is patients with bilateral mixed eyes. For example, here's a teleon mix with a 1.5 and a 3 diopter near edition. So this is binocular corrected vision. And here's, for example, a Hoya trifocal in both eyes, also claiming that they can increase this intermediate vision. And here's the 1.5 diopter. So this is computer screen. Hanita is good over the full range, has not the typical ups and downs, the double hump, and it is the best for the computer, bilaterally implanted. Very, very interesting result and confirmed by the patients. There's no complaints about computer work. So to finalize this, I would say the Intensity is a very good lens. If you reduce your postoperative errors, you have your 0.8 vision over the whole range. The dip that we often see with trifocal lenses of other manufacturers at the 70 centimeters is not there. It completely stays in that 0.8 range. The refraction we tested, now this was based on footplate designs. The refraction is very stable. And interestingly, although you saw it's not 50% of light for distance, and it's not 35% for near, it's a little less. But interestingly, despite the pentafocal, because we have some smaller foci in between, none of the patients actually complained about not enough light for the tasks they wanted to do. And this is also not so unimportant, the surgeon's preference can be fulfilled. The lens is originally available hydrophilic. They're just installing now the hydrophobic version of the lens, and you can have it as a plate design, you can have it as a loop design, and you can also have it as a quadrupod. There's very few multifocal lenses that offer you these design features. It's either this or that. So I hope this stays the way. To finalize this, I became, and this is my financial interest, a consultant to Hanita company, a kibbutz company in Israel that made contact lenses and PMMA lenses in 2008. I was asked at that time by the former CEO whether I would be trying to help to develop a new branch of lenses and future things, as are some of the other speakers here in the audience. So ever since, it has been an amazing journey. I've rarely seen so quick adjustments and so quick developments of new things when you just become a foldable companies around that time, to go to foldable, to go to optic improvement. And one of the things I believe is just the passion these people have, the passion the engineers in Israel have, these young people, you can see them burn when you come with new ideas. And also, with the, let's say, leaders of the company, that they are within the limits of the financial possibility, always willing to go for new improvements. So I'm happy to have been part of this journey, and I hope it will continue that way. Thank you very much.